For the last couple of weeks, regularly on this show, I've been talking about what I see as the looming health emergency. The fact that the NHS has a 5.3 million operation backlog, and we're now told that could become 14 or 15 million by one or two think tanks over the next few years. The fact that GPs, in most cases, are not actually doing face-to-face consultations. And so you've got things like dementia just not being diagnosed at all. And what we saw today was some Office of National Statistics figures. And they come out every week and they give you deaths that occurred in the previous week. They are a very accurate set of figures. And what we've seen in those figures is, I think, an alarming rise of those that are dying at home but are not included in the COVID figures. And I suspect this is misdiagnoses. I suspect that it is missed treatments. Well, to help me with this is Dr. Charles Levinson, Chief Executive of Dr. Call, a private GP service offering home visits. Charles, welcome. All I can say is I've been getting viewers in touch with me from all over the country, and there are leaflets going through doors saying that if you want to pay for a private GP consultation, there's somewhere close to you that is offering a 24-hour service. Is it right, just to begin this conversation, is it right that most NHS GPs are still not meeting people face to face?
No, it's an incredible shame that they're not, and it's not necessary, but it has become established. It's become the new norm, and it isn't helpful. It isn't even it doesn't even to save the doctor time, because he still has to assess the patient, make his notes, and then in something like a quarter of cases, he has to then see the patient as well, because he or she wasn't able to sort it out over the telephone or over a video call. So it isn't helpful at all, and it ought to change.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, people are very angry about this and very upset about this, and they want the reassurance of actually being seen by another human being. So I would guess, Charles, that business for you guys must be pretty good and pretty busy at this moment in time. You don't have to answer that. So the ONS figures that have come out within the last 24 hours, and that's for the week up until July the 30th, are showing us excess deaths at home against an average of the last 5 years for what is, let's remember the summer. This is not January and February when death rates are at their highest. And it's suggesting an increase during that week of 33% over the previous 5 years. And I would suggest, Charles, that figure is alarming. And I'd like to ask you, if you agree with that, what do you think is causing this?
Well, I think it's a complicated picture, but it is significant. It is that there have been enough excess deaths in the home that it isn't just a statistical aberration. There have been 51,000 up until the beginning of July, and as you say, another over 700 last week. And it's there are, I think, quite a lot of factors at play. But if and I'm talking here about non-COVID deaths as well. So these are deaths in the home. Yeah. But from other things. And so they're not caused by the virus, but I think they have to be caused clearly by the pandemic one way or another, because that's what's new. And so since it's not the virus, but it is the pandemic, one has to think, now, is it it's people's response to the pandemic? And people are not getting the medical attention that they need. And it's partly because the medical attention is hard to get at the moment, but it's also because people have been scared by the social scientists who produced scare campaigns to try and get people to socially distance, and they are frightened to go to hospital or go to their doctor.
Well, and one of the reasons for that is we do know that a significant number of people actually do contract COVID in hospitals. I mean, that's part, I guess, of what people are scared of. But, I mean, let's just look at this backlog of operations. With 5.3 million operations behind, the Nuffield Trust And one other think tank suggested over the weekend that could rise to a waiting list of 14 million. Whether that's right or not, I don't know. But it does seem to me that it's almost impossible that the NHS can ever clear this backlog. Am I being too pessimistic?
It's going to be incredibly difficult. And it's not just a matter of money, of investment in the NHS, because it takes years and years to train medical staff. So it's going to be incredibly difficult. And it is, and the private sector is not going to be able to just mop it up, because the private sector is actually tiny compared to the NHS, and all organisations in the private sector are generally functioning at pretty full capacity anyway.
But I think the private sector could expand. But I agree with you, we're facing one hell of a problem. Finally, can I ask you, please, Charles, just for some quick advice? There are people watching this and they've got an elderly relative who's not feeling very well, perhaps got chest pains, whatever it is. What should they do? Should they turn up at the local accident and emergency? What should they do?
I think they've got to be pushy. So when it all started, we set up at Dr. Call, we set up a video functionality very quickly, and we thought this was what was going to be needed. And people don't use it. Given the choice, we're private. We give them a choice, and they don't use it. They want to see a doctor, and it is what I think people want, but they don't think it's available, and it's made very difficult for them. And they just need to push, and they need to insist, and the doctors will see you if you demand it. And I think that's the message.
No, well, that's a good message. Be pushy. If you or somebody around you close to you has got a problem, Dr. Charles Levinson, thank you very much for joining us, and I promise you, viewers, we're going to come back to that health debate again and again and again. And these figures, I think, are a sign of what is, I'm afraid, going to be a very, very major problem.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.